In this video, I'm going to show you two techniques, a cut and a collaring technique. The cutting technique is a short dome, a pixie haircut as we also call it, and I'm going to cut with a knife. The coloring is a bleaching, and I will show it with the new color of Royal Kirsch, called the soft shade, an ammonia and PPV free coloring with which and it's incredibly easy to demonstrate at the wash station. Curious, check out my video. Here you can see the final result of the short dome with the pearl blonde shade. I start with a section of the horseshoe, and the horseshoe goes slightly lower below the crown, behind the highest point of the head. I made a section and divided the top surfaces into two parts. I start on the side by cutting off the hair. I hold my fingers at a 45-degree angle because I want to keep more length on top so that I maintain some volume on the sides. I take the hair between my fingers and I cut the hair in front of my fingers. Where the tension is, I work with a traveling guideline and take my section through to the next section each time to maintain the same length. Be mindful when you see your guideline, it's right in front of your fingers. Where the tension is, this is how you work all around the head. When I cut her hair, I'll make sure it's always well moisturized, well conditioned, and that I'm working with a new blade. Because I want my knife to glide slowly through the hair and not make any jerky movements. I don't want to damage the hair. The advantage of hair cutting is that it creates a very soft transition and the layers blend nicely together.
So I take the pussy at 45 degrees between my fingers and do it with my hands.
On the bottom side, I keep some distance with my fingers because I want some length around the contour. Want to keep the edge. Now my model already has some shorter lengths around the contours. But imagine your client has longer hair and you need to take off more length at the bottom. Then you continue with your section further down. So as you can see here, I'm taking a pass at the back of the head. I leave the bottom part because it fits nicely there. But when I want to remove more length, I take my pass further down and let it nicely align with the shape of the head. I slide my knife from the top down through the hair. That way I'm going to show a really nice soft point. When the hair is a bit thicker, you could also place your knife on the side of the hair and work towards your point so you also take out more hair in the middle. But that's not the case. With my model, that's not necessary. A point elevation here on the side and in the neck area is more than enough. When I've gone all around the head, so always with my guideline, I finish up with my thinning shears, make sure everything blends nicely. I want to make the bottom nicely match the top length. Now you can also nicely see through that angle of 45 degrees that I kept with my palm. The palm technique is a very nice part of the angle of 45 degrees that I kept with my palm to palm technique. I have a bit more length at the top than on the sides of the head at the bottom. And you'll see this too in the final result. When you have worked with vertical sections, always check them horizontally. Normally, I always work on a level surface, and a level surface doesn't have crowns. Now on the real model, I do have to deal with that. She has two significant cowlicks in the neck area, and I just shave those off. I can go in one direction with the hair, then I see where the crowns clash in the neck, pushing the other hair away. I just shear that away because the other hair just falls nicely over it. I did that on both sides. Né? From here, I move to the crown area. I loosen it, moisten it well, and start in the middle. I did the bottom part with my fingers at a 45-degree angle. But as you can see, my model has a very nice round skull shape, and from there, I could easily start working straight with my fingers. Right stance, so no more 45-degree angle, and I'm looking for the guideline from below. That's something you can see where I project it straight back, I find my guideline, and then just go past it because I have to cut in front of my fingers right where the parting is. Oh, now I'm working with my traveling guideline again. So I take my previous pass to the last one, and what you can't see, but is important is that your body is straight in front of the section, making sure it's positioned straight towards you, projecting. When your client does not have a round skull shape, meaning the back of the head is somewhat flatter, then I would hold the fingers at a 45-degree angle, because that's how you get the bulge. Who wants to see the final result with the hair, not the skull? But Sabine has a nice skull shape, so that's why I'm keeping my fingers upright now. I do this on both sides. I always start in the middle and then work to the left. After I've done the left side, I go back to the middle, find my guideline again, and continue the same technique on the right side. Again, take vertical sections. Keep the swing position straight, project the section straight towards you, and cut the hair off from the top with a short, smooth cutting movement. The shape is already quite visible, nicely slender in the neck, and as you move up to the crown, you create volume and length. Once the back of the head is done, I'll move to the top section. I parted it down the middle, allowing me to project the two areas outward. On the back of the head, I've utilized the head's curvature, and then my fingers were positioned straight. I want more volume on the side of my head. So now I'm working at a 45-degree angle to create that curve with the hair. I'm taking another part, the front part. That's what I'm removing. I'm creating a sort of connection, but now I will need to project my fingers at a bit more of a 45-degree angle to get more curvature on the side. The cutting motion remains the same. You can see that well here.
Take each pass and keep working within your traveling guideline. This way, you continuously follow the curvature of the head.
Keep the hair moist at all times, because when it gets a bit drier and you feel your blade scraping, if you're damaging the hair by doing that, you don't want that. So make sure the hair is well moisturized. I repeat the technique on both sides. When your client wants a longer top length, you could just leave the length as it is. But for Sabine, we want to remove the top corner to add more layers on top. When I can move the hair aside, it's easier for me to pick up sections, and you can see that I end in a point. Well, I'll get there anyway. Lifting it up, and then at the two shortest points on the side of my finger, that's my guideline, and the hair sticking out above, I remove it with a chopping move. I cut it off with my knife. My knife goes into the foam, I place my thumb on it, and with a soft pressure, I take it out. I'm removing the point. With this technique, I continue up to the crown. When I've done the entire top part, I move on to the side parts. I check if I have a corner there. Don't remove too much, as you want to maintain that volume on the side of the head. Connecting and just removing that square feeling. So I check and remove the very tip that sticks out. I also want the ponytail party to be a bit shorter. But be mindful when cutting into damp hair and applying tension, you'll always end up shorter than where you were cutting. I project the hair forward, and again, using the flat side of the knife, I cut the hair to length. Always cut where the hair is taut. But as I said, be mindful when applying tension to a pony section. it will always end up being a bit shorter. But in Sabine's case, that's also the desire. As you can see, Sabine is totally happy with her dome. Lastly, I'm going to level it out a bit more. I feel all the hair, I look at the hair, I hope you can see it well, but I take the section between my fingers. I'm not reducing the length, but in the middle of my section, I create a splash. I put my knife on it to remove some hair so it becomes a bit more airy. Is this necessary with every customer? No, not needed. Texture-wise, it's always about feeling, looking and doing where necessary. From here, I can start coloring the hair. Well, I want to end up with a kind of pearl blonde shade. You already saw Sabine herself is at a color level 5 with her natural color. And I know Sabine, she has a lot of red pigment. I am getting the Snow White kit ready with 6%. I'm adding Carabond here, step 1, because it makes the hair stay stronger during the bleaching process. I'm adding the No Yellow Pro Booster to it as well. This is a blue-violet pigment that you can add extra to your blonde mix to counteract more of the yellow pigment that comes up. Because I know what will happen with Sabine, that she will push it further and that you can end up with a cooler final result with your plumber. Stir everything together very well so that there are no more lumps. And then from there you can start setting the color. The Snow White, I can lighten it up to 8 or 9 shades. It's just really important to follow the steps for proper bleaching. The first stop is apply the product well, generously thickly. By the way, I'm actually saying it wrong. The first step is to prepare your bleach on a scale. Putting too much peroxide in your hair, which makes your product a bit weaker. So always prepare it on a scale. That's step 1. Then the second step is to apply it very thickly. You often see me grabbing the product and taking very narrow passes. Every passe, I apply it on both sides. So that I'm certain I've generously applied the Snow White, that every hair is thickly covered in the bleaching agent, and then it's a matter of patience. Let's see what it does. Snow White needs to sit for 45 minutes, but I'll check after 30 minutes already to see, okay, what's the product doing? If your Snow White has dried out, then it won't work anymore, and you can always add something to it. With Sabine, that's not necessary now. After 45 minutes, I'll start on the length ends. And I'm doing this with DMI at 1.9% because I don't need 6% right now. The points are slightly colored, so I will need to clean them briefly. I also add Carabond step 1 to maintain its strength during the bleaching process. At the roots, I've used 6% with Snow White. I have given a head start in time. And now finally, I will take 10 minutes to go over the length points again to refresh them before putting them in that pearl blonde to be able to finish the service. When I have fully applied the dots, I occasionally check them, and when I think like, well, the dots are now pretty, the sitting is nice, then I will rinse it out, because then I can handle it afterwards. I know it's always about the hairdressers with you guys, but this is where my bad habit always comes out, and that is patience. With bleaching, you just need patience because the product works slowly. Rinse thoroughly. And when you've rinsed everything out of the bleach, also make sure to cover the neck area well so you know what's in it. All bleach residues are gone. Then wash it briefly. And now I'm using the Keramax shampoo from Kiss. That's because it contains protein, and when you bleach your hair, you will always have a protein deficiency in the hair. So thoroughly wash once with Keramax shampoo. And from there, I'll first apply a treatment before toning the hair. After bleaching, I appear on TV. Shortage. And I want to keep my tone in the hair as long as possible. So I need anchors in that hair, where the color pigments of my toning can adhere to. I'm now using the 5-step rescue treatment from... I use the Kera Boost Infusion which is pure keratin that you apply to the hair and then apply the Kera Max treatment over it. It actually fixes the keratin in the hair, in the fiber, right where it needs to be. I'll let this work in for a few minutes, and while my Kera Max treatment is processing, I'll get my toner ready. And this is really a super nice product. It actually is from Royal Kiss, the soft shades, and these are tones, ammonia-free, PPD-free, and we even have two very beautiful colors for teenagers. Series, I'm now using the 10P, the 10 Pearl, and I'm mixing it 1-to-1 with the activator. Convenient in a bottle, just shake it. I'm now rinsing out the Kera Max treatment. Then I make the hair towel dry, because the soft shades are actually applied to towel dried hair. As you can see here, it's incredibly easy to apply with a small bottle by the sink. I apply it section by section, and I massage the color through the rest of the hair with my hand. It's actually a July liquid product, and it's super easy to distribute it through the hair. When I use it as a toner, I check my color every 5 minutes. He stayed at Sabine's for a total of 10 minutes. I'll rinse it off, and once it's dry, you can see a really beautiful result. I always find it pleasant to wash it once more to be sure that all the color residues are off the head. It's not necessary, but I always choose to do it myself. So I use MX shampoo once to remove any remaining color. To conclude, I'll use the Kera Balance Acidifier. It nicely seals the cuticles and is therefore a bit more acidic product. And then my toner stays very nicely present in the hair for 24 washings. Finally, I'll add the Kera Shield Leaf. This product stays in the hair, so I am now towel dry. I'll grab a tiny pearl shortly. You don't need much of this product, but it also provides nice protection against the sun. Against UV rays, but also against the heat of your hair dryer, your straightener, whatever you wish. A nice protection that can stay in the hair. The hair is bleached, so I don't need a strong styling product to blow dry it. It's more about wanting to take care of the hair and calm it down. So I use Royal Kiss's Glam Shine, a very nice serum that's absorbed. Leaves a shine in the hair. Not heavy, but a very nice shine that I want to see in my final result too. I blow dry it carefully forward. Sabine has a bit of a curl structure. On the front side, and after I've done the front, I do it loosely with my hands. To give the locks a bit more emphasis, I use the Update and the Updater. In this way, I rub it warmly between my hands, work it through the hair, and Sabine can keep this cake. From all sides, to the side, up a bit flatter. A super fun short hairstyle with a very beautiful pearl blonde result.